Welcome to Showdown. I'm Mark Kaysen, and this is Monday, April the 1st. So, is this some kind of an April Fool joke? Probably not. But anyway, I am here, and I have some special people coming in about a half an hour. But before they get here, I have some things I definitely want to talk about. And, a lot of times when you hear programming, you'll hear people say, I don't know where to start. Well, there's a lot going on, but I don't think there's any question about where to start. Because, look, we all know that Donald Trump is a complete sociopath and psychopathic maniac. We all know that. Maybe some of us don't admit it, but we all know it. And, one of the things that's being said today is that the vast majority of people who support him, and again, vast majority, because it's not everybody, but the vast majority of people who support him are white and earn less than $50,000 per year. That's the vast majority. Now, I'm not sure how they reconcile that with their position in life. I can't explain it. I know that it's true, but I can't explain it. So that's part of the fact as to who supports this guy. And he doesn't even have 50% of the population. In fact, the polling suggests that he's got somewhere around 43 or 44%, and that at the moment, Joe Biden has probably 45%. And then there's another 12 to 13%. And I'm going to say, because nobody else is saying this exactly, I'm going to say that 12 or 13%, it's not that they're for Democrats or anything like that, but they just don't want Donald Trump. They'll never vote for Trump, that last 12 or 13%. And that's why I think in the end, when you see these numbers, that it's going to be essentially a landslide supporting Joe Biden. And one of the reasons also that that's true is something that I pointed out last week, which is that the latest polling on women shows that they favor Biden by 60 to 35. And I think that really tells you the story, because when you get to the end of this thing, there aren't enough men to offset the number of women that will never vote for Donald Trump. Never. And for lots of good reasons. And I don't even need to go into all of those because they're pretty obvious besides the Hollywood Access tape. It's in addition, it's the fact that women fear that they will not be able to get health care, not abortions, health care. That's what they fear. And with good reason, because there are women dying and coming close to dying all over the country because doctors are afraid that even though they're not performing abortions, that if they provide health care to a woman who, for example, is having a miscarriage, that somebody will mistakenly believe that they have actually performed an abortion. And that is scaring doctors, and that is backing people off of providing health care for women. And women already are in trouble because of the high level of mortality for women who are pregnant in America. It's not good. So at any rate, those are all obvious. Now, the thing that comes across after the weekend, which should be completely obvious, is that you cannot post pictures of the President of the United States hogtied in the back of a pickup truck and gagged. You can't do it. First of all, I know from my broadcasting days that years ago, there was a caller on WGNU radio who used to say things about Ronald Reagan. And the Secret Service quickly showed up at this guy's house and said, "What's up here? You can't do this." And believe me, what he was saying about Reagan was nothing close to what is being done here. You cannot do what Donald Trump just did with the President of the United States. You just can't do it without getting a visit from the Secret Service, and probably, because this is far beyond anything that I've seen in my lifetime, where the Secret Service has shown up and threatened to do things to people who were threatening the president. And I'm telling you this, anybody in the United States who did this would be locked up. It's that simple. You would go to jail. Maybe not for life, but you would be locked up in jail, and you would have a lot of problems because this is against the law. Flat out against the law. You can't do this. This is not First Amendment. This is not funny. I mean, there are things that have been done by people making fun of Donald Trump, which have come pretty close. And for example, you remember, what's her name? Kathy Griffin had held up a picture of a Trump head. And let me tell you something. She got in a lot of trouble for that. A lot of trouble. She lost her programming. You can't do these things. You just can't. You can't do it to Donald Trump, and Trump can't do it to Joe Biden. You can't do it. Now, it's true that he is doing it, and no one is jumping up yet and doing something about it. But they're going to, and it's being talked about widely by people who are part of the Justice Department, the justice business in the United States. They may not be officially at the DOJ, but they're connected to that. They may be lawyers. They may be judges. Look, everybody is saying, what are we going to do here? Because we have to do something. You can't do this. So first, I would say, watch for something to be done. And I've got a couple of people coming on today who are going to tell you that nothing is going to be done about Donald Trump, that he can get away with everything. And you'll see, we'll have that discussion sometime right after the 4:30 point. But I can just tell you that there is something that is going to be done. And part of the reason why is, first of all, we have to protect presidents of the United States from psychopaths. Donald's a psychopath. Now, you might ask, I'm asking, everybody wants to know. We don't have the answer yet. But for example, there was a guy this afternoon who smashed his car into the gate at the FBI in Georgia. No one knows for sure if this guy did it intentionally or not. In fact, I think that's one of the things about our media that is really excellent. And that is, people are holding back. They're saying, we don't know yet. This could have been an accident. Doesn't look like one. How do you get there? But the car could have gotten out of control and somehow ended up at the FBI gate and smashed through it. Possible. Nobody wants to say this guy intentionally did this because our system really does attempt to protect people who may be innocent. That's why Donald's gotten as far as he has, because we have a system that provides a great deal of protection for people who are accused until they're found guilty, which, of course, brings up the case of E. Jean Carroll, where Donald has been forced now to put up $89 million because he can't follow the law, because he breaks the law. First, he's defamed this woman. And secondly, he was found by the jury to have raped this woman. I know they call it sexual assault, but I hate to tell you, if it were done to anybody in your family, if it were done to your sister, if it were done to your mother, if it were done to anybody that you care about, as the judge has said, you would call it rape, because it is. So it's really easy to say, well, that's just E. Jean Carroll. No. If it were anybody that you were connected to, this guy's a rapist. And of course, he hasn't been put in jail for it because there's a statute of limitations which prevents them from bringing the rape case. But Donald, being the maniac that he is, sat out here defaming this woman and set up what was clearly a defamation lawsuit in civil court, which eventually has resulted in almost $90 million in fines that this guy has to pay. And he says, well, I'm going to get out of it. I don't know if he's going to get out of it or not, but I will tell you that a jury found him to have done it. Call it what you want. The word that they use, they say that he was liable for it. Okay. Well, the bottom line is he did it. He did it. And that's a problem. And that's why 60 to 35 women are against this person, because they know what he is. And frankly, they've had enough. I understand men are on the other side of the coin in this. And so they're supporting Donald Trump. And I can't tell you why. I guess for the same reason that they would want to buy a $60 Bible from him. Maybe that's an example of why. But I will tell you that Donald Trump is not going to win any election. And if anything, he's going to find himself in jail. And let me take this further with the jail part. You have to remember that he's got 4 cases against him, which include 88 felony counts. And anytime you have cases where you're being accused of felonies, you're allowed out on bail. That's how it works. So Donald Trump's out on bail. He's not free because he's just innocent, which, of course, we do view him as innocent until proven guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt. But that's not the point. He is not in jail because he is being allowed out on bail. This man's on bail. He's out on bail. His bail requirements include that he doesn't break any more laws. Well, he's breaking laws. He's breaking them. And here's the other thing. And you think about this, really. If you were accused of anything far less than what he has been accused of, far less, where would you be? First of all, you'd be in jail. Secondly, if you walked into a courtroom and started calling the judge names, you'd be in jail. Do you know anybody who has gone into a courtroom screaming at the judge and calling out the judge's family and the people that work for the judge in the courtroom? Have you ever heard of that in your life? And the answer is no. It just doesn't happen because there's nobody that stupid, nobody foolish enough to go into that courtroom knowing that the judge makes the ultimate decision and then acting crazy like that. It wouldn't happen. So here's what could happen. And this is called pre-trial detention. Now, Donald has avoided it because he's out on bail. And again, his bail conditions include that he not break any laws. And one thing for sure, he's already broken one, which that's this weekend. What he has done with Joe Biden is against the law. There is no First Amendment protection that allows him to distribute pictures of the President of the United States hogtied and gagged in the back of a truck. It just doesn't, there is no protection for that. You go to jail for that. That's criminal. We've all seen it, and he's proud of it. So trust me, this guy is in a lot of trouble, far more than his supporters really have any concept of. And I don't know, maybe it's because they're low-wage earners who have not gone to college. That might be part of it. But there are wealthy people out here too with educations who support this kind of thing. They think this is all right. They think that you can behave this way. But actually, you cannot. It is against the law. It's that simple. It's against the law. You're not allowed to do it. And furthermore, there's a gag order in effect, and this is being talked about right now all over television. OMG. Yeah. So that's my brother Les. And in a minute, he's going to get into the conversation along with my brother Ira, who's going to be here in a second too. And I'll explain why we're doing this. But at any rate, let me say that everybody is discussing right now, how far should we allow this to go? And we're right on the edge. I mean, this has to be handled now. So we're right there, and the justice system has to decide how far are we going to go with Donald remaining out of jail, because we may have to put him in jail to stop him from doing the things he's doing, because you can't do what he's doing against the president. And you know something? You can't do what
There's a lot of things he shouldn't do, but he does.
Hang on, Les. Hang on. There are a lot of things that you can't do, like you can't go into a courtroom and attack the judge and his family. And I understand that the judge did not so far include that in the gag order. But the question asked by Alvin Bragg is, do you, Judge, do you want to include in that gag order protection for yourself, your family, and members of the court? And the thing about it is, Mershon, who's the judge in Manhattan, is going to have to decide what to do. And he is very likely going to shut all of this down pretty effectively and soon. But everybody's trying to give Donald the benefit of the doubt so that he can't say, which he's going to say anyway, that he's being abused by the system. But it doesn't matter. You can give him all the protection you want. He's going to say it anyhow. When he loses the election come November.
When?
He's going to say, I won. He's going to say, I won the election. He's going to say it was rigged. He's going to say, you can't do this to me. And he's going to be asking his followers to attack the government. Now, we're going to get into this with Ira and Leslie here in a minute. But what I want to point out here is something that I think is far more important in understanding what he's not going to be allowed to do. And that is, all of these judges are going to decide, finally, enough's enough. They're going to decide that they've given him enough leeway. They've given him enough opportunity to control himself. And since he hasn't done it, they're going to get him. And that means he's going to spend some time in jail. Now, I have said, and this is something we're going to talk about here, but I've said that I think he wants to go to jail. And I think he wants to go to jail so he can say that he's been mistreated because he shouldn't be in jail, because he's Donald Trump and he's a former president, which I don't even know how that happened. But anyway, it did. And so, he is going to say that we're doing things to him that are unfair. But the system is going to have to actually finally do what it's supposed to do and shut the man down.
Has anyone been doing anything unfair to him?
No.
Okay,
nobody.
So he could say anything he wants.
Right.
Really make a difference.
Yeah, hang on. You're going to get in here with all this in a second. But let me say also.
It's almost 5 o'clock.
No, we're going to do it at 4:30. Ira's coming. But at any rate, that we've heard him say that he doesn't even want Nikki Haley's votes. He doesn't even want them. He says he doesn't need them. He says he can win anyway. He just doesn't want them. And Joe Biden is out here trying to get those votes. I say he will get them because women by 60 to 35 are saying, no way are we ever voting for that. But again, it's gonna take some time. We're gonna have to have some proof. Okay, so here's another thing I want to say before we get started with the rest of this when Ira shows up, and that is, and I don't know if you know this. You probably don't know this, Les. Nobody probably would. You might hear it tonight on the news. That company, Donald's company.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what happened with it today?
What?
Probably not. Nobody. I'm sure nobody does. Nobody does.
What?
It's collapsing. The price is collapsing. Okay. It was $80 a share when it came out last week. It's now down into the 40s.
What company?
Well, it's called Trump Media.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it's really Truth Social. And let me say this, because I can't, it's hard to even say Truth Social. That's so stupid. Truth. I mean, the guy hasn't told the truth in his life. It should be called Lies Social. Then that would be fine.
I'm lying social.
Yeah, right. But at any rate, look, the thing about it is, I lied last week myself. I didn't intentionally do it. I was just wrong. I said that Truth Social, keep saying that name, the Truth Social had $12 million in revenue since 2021. I was wrong. They've only had 5 million. So that's the first part. And their revenue is collapsing right now. Anything they had, which was not much, they have almost nothing. I mean, $5 million in revenue is like if I had a nickel in my pocket. That's $5 million in revenue for a company that was valued as of Friday at $8 billion. So
what's the reason?
But now Donald can't sell anything.
Oh,
everything he does.
I bet he's selling Bibles.
No. Well, Bibles, he's probably selling a few. Yeah. But at any rate, he so look, so first of all, Truth Social, now Trump Media, is collapsing. And that's so funny because, first of all, it should be collapsing. And secondly, everything, and I said this last Friday, but I've said it all the time. Everything he touches dies. The casinos died. The Thai company died. The steak company died. The university died, and he ended up having to pay $25 million because he was found to have committed fraud.
Is it possible that he could be president in 2024?
Les, I'm telling you right now, and I think you, in fairness, wait for Ira, because I'm telling you right now, it's not possible. It's not possible. But I know that, look, there's a reason that we're doing this. So, just hang in here a second. And so anyway, let me say that first, his company is collapsing one day on the stock exchange, and the price is already down almost 50%. And listen, I'm so pleased. I hope it goes to zero, and I hope it goes there quickly. Now I know that prices never go in a direction the same way without some interruption. So it might well be that after dropping to 40, it'll rally back to 50 and then back down to 30 and back to 40. So that's all possible. Or because it's Donald Trump and everything he touches dies, it may just go straight to zero, which is where it was in the first place. He only raised $300 million in capital, and then the market gave it a valuation of $8 billion, which now, of course, is no longer, because now it's closer to $4 billion, and pretty soon it'll be $0 billion because the man's broke, and he's going to be broke. And we're going to find out, and I can't wait for this. But, a lot of people are saying he doesn't have the $175 million that he needs to put up the bond in the case where he lost the $500 million in New York. Yeah. So, there's so many cases. How do you even remember? Yeah. But anyway, so the New York State case, he has to put up now, and he's still lost $500 million. He's out $500 million, but he only has to put up $175 million in order to file his appeal. And we don't even know if he's got that much, but we'll find out, but we don't know. So that's hanging out there. But believe me, I've got a lot of the rest here that we can talk about together. And at the moment it's 4:28. So let's do a little quick business, and then we'll get Ira in here, and then the three of us will talk about what I want to talk about. So first, if you're hungry, all this talk about failing businesses, and let me tell you, Wendy's is a restaurant that is the opposite of a failing business. It is one of the greatest restaurants that you could go to. It is phenomenal. And Ben and his family own the restaurant, and they are really terrific people. They run a great restaurant. It's a great place to go and enjoy yourself with the people who are there. But beyond that, they've got baby back ribs. They've got onion rings. They've got meats that are the smoked meats. They've got the hamburgers, cheeseburgers, patty melts, pizza. How can you go wrong with pizza? It's just great. It's a great place. 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road in the Chesterfield Valley. It's a great restaurant, and it is Wendy's. Very good place to eat. Secondly, if you're interested in jewelry, you can go to Jewels on Hampton, which is, of course, a jewelry store on Hampton. Pretty smart of them, huh, Les? So anyway, Jewels on Hampton, and it is owned by Al, and of course his son AJ is there, and the two of them really run this terrific. They know what they're doing when it comes to jewelry. They buy and sell coins. They create new styles of jewelry that you can buy from them. They also, you can tell them what you want, and they'll do it exactly the way that you want it done. They'll do it all. And even to the extent of, for example, I don't know, Les, if you've seen this watch of mine. This is a Seiko, gold Seiko watch that is 45 years old. 45 years old. You can take that into Jules on Hampton and they'll fix it, because listen, watches don't work forever. You've got to fix them. Right?
Right.
Okay. So I'm amazed you actually agreed with me on something. Okay.
Only if they're right.
Yeah, only if they're right. Okay. So anyway, Jules on Hampton, 4506 Hampton in St. Louis. Go see Al and AJ and take advantage of their great opportunities to get jewelry and to buy and sell jewelry and coins and you name it. Great place. Finally, now you see how you're dressed, Les, right?
Yeah, I see it.
Now, you don't dress every day in a suit and a tie, do you?
Yeah. I mean,
No,
I do quite often.
You do?
I bought a suit
Oh, you bought a suit. Okay.
where you're about to mention.
Yeah, but of
There we
course,
go. Yeah.
St.
And
Louis Suit
ties.
Company in Clayton, they have the greatest suits for sure. And also the ties, which I know you're aware, Les. How much are they?
$5 each. If you buy five, they're $4 each.
That's true. Now, the other side is if you go to Trump will sell you a tie. He's got some ties left from that company that failed, like all his companies do. But the thing about it is he'd charge you $50 for the tie. And then the tie, it has a self-choking thing in it that it will choke you. That's why it didn't work very well. People were tired of choking. Okay. So the St. Louis Suit Company, they don't do any of that bad stuff. They're at Forsyth and Central in Clayton. St. Louis Suit Company, they've been there for 29 years. 40 years, that's my watch. 29 years. St. Louis Suit Company in Clayton. And they're great. I love their suits. I buy them all the time. And they're just excellent. They had seersucker suits, Leslie. I don't know if you know what those are.
No.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I was going to buy one. I don't think they have any left.
What is it?
But not. It's a summer suit.
Huh.
But at any rate, they have other suits, many suits. So that is the St. Louis Suit Company, Forsyth, and Central in Clayton. You can't go wrong there. Jay and Nick are there to help you, and the rest of their family is there all the time too. Okay, so in a minute, Ira will be here, and let me say this as to why I asked you to come on the air here this afternoon, because sometimes you write things on Facebook, or you make a comment, or sometimes you call in, Les.
Mm-hmm.
But I really wanted to do this because a lot of people are talking about how their families feel about Trump. And, you two sort of have a different idea about Trump than I do.
No,
I didn't say you support him, but you have a different.
Okay,
well,
what's the different idea?
Do you think Trump's going to, do you think Trump could win?
Of course he could.
No, he can't. See? So that's where that's one place that we disagree.
Okay.
And do you think Trump can constantly continue from here on to get away with the kinds of things that he's doing?
I think he could.
Yeah, see? And I say it's not possible.
Yeah.
Because the system is going to shut him down, and the system is just an inch away.
It's possible that they could shut him down.
They're going to shut him down. I mean, if you were going into a courtroom.
This is different. He's different than anyone else.
Well, no, he can't be.
Well, he has been so far. There's never been anyone like him.
Well, I don't know. I think there may have been some mob bosses who have done what he's done to an extent, a very small extent. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
no president
Yeah.
has ever done anything like this ever.
Right.
Why do you think that is?
Why?
I'm asking you.
Um, okay, I threw it
Why
back
do you think no president has ever acted like this?
because it's insane to act like that.
I would say so. So why don't the people who support Trump understand that? Can you?
Well, some of it I can understand why. I don't agree, but I can understand why.
Well,
Because
explain
they
that to me.
think he's going to make America great again. And that's all they care about. We want America to be something that it was and something that he says he can make it. And so that's why they will go along with him and just poo-poo the rest of it, no matter how extreme it is.
So is America great?
It is a great country. It has a lot of problems, but
Yeah. Give me some problems.
well, we do have a society that has been based on racism, and still there's undertones of it to this day.
Yeah. So does Donald think that's true?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he does or not, but he'll say that, he'll say that it's not true. Or if he thinks that he can say that it is true, he'll say that he will do something about it and only he can.
Okay. But he says there's no racism.
Yeah.
And at any rate, he says that he is the least racist of any person in the United States. Is that true?
Yeah,
It is true.
probably. It's probably true that he says that.
Oh, no, I'm asking. No, is it true that he's the least racist of any person in the United States?
Of course not.
Well, why do some people think that's true?
Well, I told you, all they care about is that he becomes president and makes America great again.
So how come things were so messed up when he left office? Now, I know what you think, but try to tell me what is it that people think that makes them believe
They don't think it was messed up.
they don't?
No, they think everything was going great. You've heard them say this.
But you know it's not true.
It
I mean,
doesn't make a difference what I think. We're
people
talking
were
about
losing-
what they think.
People were losing jobs because of COVID. People were dying because of COVID.
Sure.
And Donald told Bob Woodward,
Yeah.
it's on tape,
Yeah.
that he knew that the people were going to die, but he didn't want to tell them because he was afraid to get them upset.
But he also, I mean, the people that support him mostly, they say it's all fake anyway. They say it's fake. The vaccines are fake. The government's out to get them.
Okay, so they say the vaccines are fake, but kids are coming down right now with measles, which we had gotten rid of measles.
Yeah.
They were gone. No more measles.
Mhm.
And the only reason that it's here is because there are people now, Trump people, who don't get vaccinated, and their kids.
Greg Carell says, Mark, can you see this?
Okay, well, I guess I better push this button and see if I can see it.
Push the button.
See if I can see it. Oh, here we go. Okay, can I see? Okay. So, oh, great. Okay. Can I see this? So, Greg, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Do you mean can I see the names over here? Okay, that might be what you're asking.
He'll say what it is. Okay, so what were you saying?
Yeah. I'm saying that, measles are exploding. Yeah. Okay. And also some other things as well. Okay. And the reason is because of people not being vaccinated.
He's leaving messages now.
Okay. So he's okay. Yeah.
On.
Well, if he tells me what he wants.
No, he said, can you see his messages? I said,
yes. Yes, I see the messages now. I'm sorry. And I see Michael also said,
Mhm.
saying about as a starting point, what we can do to stop Donald. And yeah, exactly. See, Michael said, I wish you could too, Michael. Michael's working because he says he'd love to join in here too. He's obviously part of the family,
Yeah, I'd like to
I
hear
could,
what he has to
I could
say.
get 10 people up on this thing. So,
Right, right, right.
but
Okay, so measles going strong.
yeah, that's destructive of our country in a very serious way. It affects kids, and kids can die from measles. It's
And
very
that's what we were
serious.
saying about COVID at the time too. And people were dying.
Yeah. Well, this is all because of Donald.
Wait, what do you
He
mean?
is the one who has done this. He's the one
Oh,
who has people
thinking
not
that
not wanting to be vaccinated and not wanting to wear a mask.
to a certain extent. I mean, there's a certain part of the population that does just think that vaccines aren't, don't serve the purpose that the doctors have said that they do, and the experts say they do, and they've.
So where did they get the idea
Mhm.
that they could not vaccinate their kids?
Well, they do. A lot of them believe in conspiracy
Yeah,
theories.
but they didn't before Donald.
Yeah, there were plenty of
They may
people
have
who
believed
believed.
it, but they couldn't get away with it.
Yeah, yeah. No, he definitely pushed it forward, the whole idea.
Yeah. All that stuff about injecting bleach.
Yeah. He first started, didn't he first get the vaccines going pretty fast? I think he was pushed into doing it though. He
Well,
didn't want
he
to.
certainly was.
Yeah.
And like
Surprisingly enough, but he was pushed into it. That's the
first of all, he was pushed into it. Secondly,
yeah.
he told Bob Woodward, we know because we hear the tape. But you said perfectly. People hear the tapes, they don't even believe it.
Right.
But the tape on tape, he said that he didn't want to tell. That he knew, but he didn't want to tell.
Yeah. Yeah. We're in big trouble when people don't want to hear the truth and hear facts. We're in big trouble. So that's another problem with our country.
Well, it is. It's an enormous problem, and the thing about it is, and this is the reason I brought you on, and hopefully Ira in a minute. Something probably happened, but I mean, obviously did. But here's what.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Greg says that he disagrees with my Truth Social valuation.
Yeah, social valuation.
Just from a business standpoint, initial IPO of a stock usually starts low, goes up way high in the excitement, then settles back. But this is collapsing, sometimes going up again, sometimes down. And I already said it could work its way down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
Sometimes going up again, sometimes down. Are you going to say Charter Communications is going under because its stock is low? Say it right, Mark. That's what Greg said. But wait a second. Charter Communications stock price is, first of all, very high. So that's number one. The second thing is Charter Communications revenues are way in the billions. This guy's revenue for 4 years, I'm sorry, 3.5 years, his revenue is $5 million. That's like a nickel. He's got nothing. He's got no business. He's got no revenue. And what I did say, which was correct, is that he lost last year on $5 million of revenue. He lost $50 million. That's how much he lost.
So that's more than just a small swing going up and down. That's a total collapse, right?
Well, no. The collapse is the stock price.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, let me say this, Greg, and I've been in the business for, 45, 50 years, the stock market business. When these companies go public, it is true that sometimes they shoot up and then work their way down. But 50% in the first day, not so much. And the fact is, this company of his has absolutely no business. It's all him. He's the one who is on there, and they don't get any revenue. Nobody wants to buy anything from, quote, Truth Social.
He says that Charter crashed and its stock is way down. It had to split the stick. Oh, split the stock.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
here's the thing. I'm going to give you a real price on Charter. I mean, we'll take a quick look here. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is something I can do in 10 seconds. Okay, so I mean, it's not like what we're talking about here, but at any rate, hang on, almost there. Okay, so let's put in. Let's do it this way. Okay, so just trying to get this in here. Oh, that's stupid. I've got it all filled up, so I can't. Oh, I know where I can get it. I'm sorry. No, I can get it right here. Sorry about that. I mean, we're spending a minute or two on this. I wish Ira would show up, but so far he has not. CHTR. Okay, so Charter has dropped from 460 to 290. Okay, so it's down $170 a share. But the truth is that it is still $170 a share, and the valuation of the company is substantial. Okay, they have a huge number of shares outstanding. This company is worth a lot of money and has enormous revenue, and their price to earnings ratio is 9. So let's call it 10. So it's 10 times the amount that the company earns. Okay. Donald Trump earns 0. In fact, not only does he earn 0, his revenues are almost 0. There's no comparison. So, in the case of Charter, I mean, this is a company that's at 10 times earnings. Donald Trump's company not only doesn't have any earnings, it doesn't have any revenue. It doesn't have a business. It's nothing. It doesn't exist. Okay, valuation is subjective. Well, of course, that's true. Price to earnings is worse, but the biggest company in the world. Look, this company, you brought up Charter. It's 10 times.
Or Apple, you said.
10 times its earnings. Well, Apple is 28 times earnings. I mean, I can tell you that right away. So Apple is only 28 times earnings. That's low. What do you call it? Amazon is close to 60 times earnings, but they earn an enormous amount of money. They have billions and billions of dollars of business. And by the way, Apple has a valuation that is almost $3 trillion. It hit $3 trillion. Okay. Donald Trump's company is worth $4 billion and dropping like a rock one day on the exchange. There's no comparison. Donald Trump is getting slaughtered. And believe me, he was talking the other day about how he had $4 billion. Now he's got 2. And very soon he'll have $0 billion. And by the way, let's see what he puts up. In a few days, he has to put up that money for the bond. Now, he might come up with it. Mm-hmm. And I've said in the past, he could come up with it because Vladimir Putin will give him the money. I mean, it's a cheap deal for Vladimir Putin to buy the United States of America for $175 million. I mean, that's a bargain. And that's why he would invest in Donald. Of course, he won't tell. He won't tell that he did it. He won't do that because he doesn't want to, because he'll get in trouble. Of course, he's probably not that worried about getting in trouble, but if he did, he'd get in a lot of trouble.
If he took money from Putin, it would be big trouble.
Well, that is correct. But
Yeah.
but the point is, if he doesn't get money from Putin, I don't think he's got any money. Any, except for maybe he might have $100 he got off his MasterCard that's in his pocket so that he can go out to dinner. He might have that. This man has nothing. And he's had nothing all his life.
We will see in a few days.
Well, we'll see if he's got any ability to come up with this $175 million.
Yeah.
I mean, he did come up with a bond for $100 million, which he barely did. That was for the money that he owed E. Jean Carroll. And then the question is, why does anybody think that Donald owes all this money to people? Why are the juries all coming down on him the way they are? And believe me, this case in Manhattan is going to be over. It is going to be 100% over by, I'm going to say, no later than July 1st. It might be June 1st. It'll be over. And when it is, Donald's going to be found guilty. And as an example, Les, do you know who Hope Hicks is?
Who?
Okay. Hope Hicks, and Greg, maybe you know who Hope Hicks is. She worked for Donald, very close friends with Donald. But I can tell you right now, the Hope Hicks has been subpoenaed for the Manhattan case because she's got information that is going to be used by the prosecution to further destroy Donald. All the people who support Donald are going to be here when Donald's sitting in jail. But Donald's going to jail. Donald is going to jail. He's going to be found guilty. He's going to be sentenced to jail. And, this pre-trial detention business, he's running to the end of that one. Pretty soon there won't be any pre-trial detention. And Greg, I'm reading here that you trade. You're a day trader. That's great.
Well, Elon Musk surely isn't a liberal.
No, he's not a liberal, but that's not even the point. When you're a trader,
views that are liberal and conservative on there. There is.
Yeah.
I go on there, I see it.
Yeah, but actually,
yeah.
X, that's the old Twitter, does have some revenue. Donald has nothing. Donald has no revenue. No one wants to go near him. He's death. He is financial death to anybody. Nobody wants to touch him. And listen, you take a guy like Greg, and I think you'll agree with this, Greg. It doesn't matter what you think. All you want to do is make a profit. And guess what? That's exactly like George Soros. George Soros is one of the greatest commodity traders in the history of the world, made billions by selling short the British currency, and he was right. And I'm sure you, Greg, would have to have a great deal of respect for somebody like that, because you know how hard it is to be a good trader. And you say you do it for fun. You may trade for fun, but you're not trading to lose. Right. I can guarantee you that. You're not trying to lose.
Right.
You're trying to make a profit, and that's good. And you should. He says, I keep my brain sharp. Oh, well, of course. No, you keep your brain sharp. Donald Trump's brain is obviously mush, because nobody, including you, Greg, nobody would ever put a picture out of the president of the United States hogtied and gagged, because if you did, they'd come and get you the next day.
Well,
The
how's he
very
get
next
away
day.
with it? How
Well,
does he get away with it?
he did it on Friday, okay, or Saturday, one or the other. But he did it a day or two ago. You watch and see how far he gets with this. He's not going to get far. The judges are going to step on him very shortly. They have to. If the United States means anything, they have to, and they know it. But they're trying to figure out, how do we do this? How do we navigate this? That again, like,
Well, they say you have the right to say anything you want to say.
no, you don't. No, you absolutely don't. Not in our system.
Did he have the right to put that out?
The First Amendment does not guarantee that you can say anything that you want. We know right away.
How about showing Biden tied up in the back of a truck?
Well, no, it's illegal. They could arrest him
for saying that.
Sure, of course. Listen, I told you at the beginning that there was a guy at WGNU, just a caller.
Yeah.
Who I'm not going to say his name. It's not necessary. But he said things about Ronald Reagan, and the FBI came to get him. Now they told him, if you never say it again, we'll leave you alone. But they said, don't do it again, and he didn't, and that was the end of that. But the point is, you're not allowed. It's against the law. They'll come and get you. You know, if you get on here right now and say something about Joe Biden crazy, threatening, the FBI will come and get you. They will. I promise you. And beyond that, I can tell you that, you know, people think, they say First Amendment, freedom of speech, but everybody knows that you can't be in a crowded theater and yell fire.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, you said you could say anything, and you can't.
I didn't say you could say. They say that you can.
Okay, but it's not true. It's just like you can't say that some friend of yours has been stealing and is a thief, and you can't say that on the air right now and know that you're lying, because if you do, that guy can sue you.
But how about drawing a picture of the president tied up?
Against the law. It's against the law. He's breaking the law. He can go to jail for that. Yes, he can. And I'll tell you, I'll tell you who else is threatened by this too. If you were going to potentially be a juror in the case, any of the 4 cases, would you want to be on the jury when you know what Trump is saying about people?
So, Greg, you're saying that Trump is the best pick for you. Is that correct? Or I mean, I shouldn't assume that. So,
yeah, I think he's saying it's the best pick for him, and that's fine. But
well, I'm just wondering.
I mean, you can vote for whoever you want, but you can't. But you can't say what Trump is saying. Okay, look, I got to get out of here now because we're at the end of the show. And Les, I appreciate you coming on to talk a little about it. And I'll say a few words about it tomorrow. And maybe Ira will come on another day. Right now, this is Showdown. I'm Mark Kaysen with Leslie. Right, Les?
Right.
Okay, and then there's the St. Louis Suit Company. There's Wenty's. And there's Jules on Hampton. There are great supporters. We love you all. Good night.